Everyone, welcome back. It's Mason here with another episode of RevTalks. We're here with Abdi. How are you doing today?
Great, and thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited, and it's a beautiful summer day. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining and being here. Could you give us a bit of a background for your company for the audience?
Yeah, so I run Studio 23 Labs, which was traditionally a software development agency, and now in the last give or take 2 months, we started focusing specifically on repetitive administrative work within businesses. A lot of the time, people who do a lot of admin work aren't technically adept, right? So it kind of works out for us, kind of both ways, and honestly, if you fill out something really consistently, then it should be automatable. Just save a few hours in your day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're gearing towards saving people a lot of time with automating their processes.
Yeah. And, we come in and help in different ways. I look at us more as like software consultants, right? Because it's very hard for me to diagnose what your problem is or what your issue is. And I think of it similar to a doctor's office where you go there and somebody will evaluate you and they might need to, ship you off to a different place, or you might need a completely different solution. It might be an operational issue, not a technological issue. But until we get in there and learn the fine print and the nitty gritty, there's no way for us to know, right?
Awesome. Yeah, so you're kind of like a doctor. Patient comes in, you got to figure out where things are broken, if they need a bandage or if they need surgery, and then you prescribe the medication or the solution.
Yeah, exactly. And we do our solutions in house, and that's something that we might want to change because actually doing the software development is a real pain, and people really are like, oh, AI can do all of it, and they undercut you on price, things like that. So it is a tough market to be in right now, specifically building software. But the software consulting side has allowed us to provide way more value towards businesses.
Awesome. Well, that leads into my next question, which is when a new customer comes into the business, like how do they actually find you?
Well, a lot of our first network has been started from like my own freelancer network. And what that it's kind of a bad thing simply because we don't really have a really good customer acquisition channel or a really good system. And that's something that we're hopefully trying to change in the next, month or so. Yeah, honestly, they probably know me or I had a warm intro. That's kind of how we grew the whole business. And doing a good enough job with them that they want to help push us forward has been big to us because we're not exactly small, but it's pretty funny when I say we haven't done a crazy amount of outreach.
Awesome. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I mean, it seems like you've got people that know that you do good work and they refer you to other businesses, and you're looking to kind of expand into other channels of marketing and customer acquisition.
Yeah, and I think we validated the idea. It's not like people don't need this service or they don't need somebody. They now more than ever need somebody technologically advanced to look at their systems. But the hardest thing is it all comes down to trust. You're not going to trust and change. It's You're not going to change what you've been doing every day for years. The business existed before they met me. So it's hard to justify why they need me to continue, right? And sometimes it's a lot easier to walk instead of learn how to run.
Yeah, for sure. So, what does the process look like for you for determining what the scope of a project is and if it's even necessary or if people are just looking to implement a nice, pretty tool into their business or like
Yeah,
just like an AI solution?
yeah, and this is something that a mentor of mine taught me is that it either comes down to the top line or the bottom line. Are you making more money or spending less money? And we work our way backwards from your actual outcome, right? And you don't want to get married to specific thought patterns because there's a million ways to solve the problem, especially in technology. You can either do and a lot of the times we don't actually recommend building software. Sometimes we're like, you can connect existing software as you already have. We want to change as little of what you're doing every day. And especially when we work with some bigger corporations, it's actually quite difficult to get them to change what they're doing on a, department scale. All right. And it's not really a tech problem. It becomes more of a culture problem. So for us, we always go for the most direct streamlined path and then change as little as possible to get the maximum output, which, sounds like it makes common sense when we say it, but a lot of companies will tell you, hey, build this for 20 grand and it will look really cool. And it doesn't end up doing anything. That moves the needle.
Yeah, for sure. So it sounds like you're more focused on operational efficiency rather than building a tool that may work, but is going to be hard for the entire team to actually implement and use on a day-to-day basis just because they're changing so much from their existing processes.
Yeah, and it's almost like detrimental to the business in a way, right? You can't just like jump off the deep end. And sometimes it's more fun for us when we get to build new things from the ground up because then we can do it exactly how we want it. But a lot of the times things are set in stone and we kind of have to dig around it rather than straight through it. And I could give you some examples, right? Like one of our clients, well, actually, I went to a soccer league to play soccer with my buddy, and the guy was collecting payments almost by hand and like verifying everybody, like, I don't know, through text message and saying, oh, are you here or whatever. And he did his own attendance. So we built him a website, an admin system, and all the jazz. He's been doing this for 13 years. And only now he was able to open up a second location because the administrative drain has effectively gone to zero, right? The website handles the booking, the payment. He checks a button for attendance. All their names are there. And it just, it seems like common sense, but when you're in the business, you can't like be outside of the business and change fundamentally how it works because you're probably at a pretty high capacity already. Like, right, you're probably already working pretty hard. You can't take time to learn a whole different subsection of, technology, right?
Right. For sure. Yeah, so it seems like you're working on saving people time on, like, the administrative burdening type tasks where it's very repetitive, and there's just a way to make it quicker and more efficient for them. This kinda goes into my next question, which is, like, can you briefly walk me through, like, how your business has grown over the next 12 months and, like, what kind of marketing or sales initiatives have moved the needle the most for you?
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff, the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to go live in the coming weeks. But what we found that really helps is sometimes people don't understand fully what we do. And when we record case studies and put them online, that seems to resonate with people, especially because when they see a system implemented, then they say, I want this exact thing. And from there, it's not really a question of can they do it, right? Because the prospect goes through lots of questions, which is, can I afford it? Can they actually execute what they're promising on? And that's the big one, right? Because if they believe that, then sometimes price is irrelevant. But when we show people things that we've done for other businesses, the gears and the light bulbs go off in their head, you know, relative to their own. And the real problem that I find is that the information that we need to do a good job or the information for me to consult somebody is in the business owner's head, right? Like there's no other place to get that information than sit down and have a maybe 1 hour lengthy discussion with them about how their entire business runs. And that's, I think, the real value that we bring to the table. I think software, a lot of people make software. It's not like we're that special in that regard. But what keeps our customers with us and why people like working with us is because we're end-to-end solution. I'm not going to look at your project and say, okay, it's finally scoped and that's it, knowing that, down the line in a month, you're gonna have this issue. I will tell you, hey, you have this problem. Like this is not a feasible project for us to do. And it is a headache. It is genuinely a headache. I've been freelancing since I was 16. So I've dealt with all sorts of clients, good, bad, nice, mean. And, for me, a lot of the times when I'm scoping a project, it really comes down to, is it worth the headache? Is right on our end
Yeah, for
for
sure.
fun.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely makes sense. So it kind of sounds like you're looking to educate your customer and build trust with them up front, and then you take more of a consultative process to see what they're actually doing and kind of diagnose where, if at all, your services can fit in and how you can actually help them.
Yeah, exactly. And I really think it's about incentives too. It's that if I am able to pitch you some really good ideas, I get a contract for my company, and you think it's a really good idea as well, right? Which a lot of when we were a software development agency, it's like you had to come to me with a plan almost, right? You needed to have a need. You needed a website or you need this software, which a lot of people don't know what they need. And I find it really funny because people treat software nothing like a doctor or a lawyer, right? I'm sure you could defend yourself in court. I wouldn't recommend it. Just like how I'm sure you could build your own software. I just don't recommend it, right? It's like you have to play to your strengths. And as a business owner, you want to lead your company, focus on even technical founders don't want to focus on the software within their business because it's essentially a full-time job. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of our kind of direction and experience. And I don't think that we will sit on this administrative stuff forever, because it's pretty like low hanging fruit, especially when we get into the business and show them, hey, we can do this. We usually take it quite a few steps further with our clients down the line once we build that trust, that rapport. We have one project under the belt. Let's do something more ambitious. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense. And when the business takes on new projects, what's like the typical deal size of those projects?
Yeah, for us, we typically range anywhere from like, I want to say with AI, it's brought down our costs quite a bit. So we could do like a pretty like sizable, whatever that means, sizable application. We started about like $3,000. And closer to our high ticket is like maybe 11 or 12 grand. But somewhere in that range, we usually settle on like 5 to 7 would be our median. But again, it really, depends on the project, depends exactly what we're doing. And with the project that you do, you also get a lot of the small things, right? Like we'll help you set up your Google Workspace, we'll manage your IT for you. Like I don't want any of the founders or people we work with to have to deal with anything tech. You talk to me or you talk to your account manager, and if you need something done, that's why we're here. That's our job. And one thing that I do find that's really helped us with client retention is we take a loss on some updates and development to their project once it's live. But having that kind of constant feedback loop when they say, oh, yeah, let's build this new feature, we end up getting an extension of the work. But we don't want to nickel and dime our clients, and we want them to feel like they have essentially a premium experience and people backed in their corner. And that in turn gives them the confidence back in us to continue investing into their technology. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So it seems kind of like you're positioning as almost like a technological partner rather than just a vendor that builds them software.
Yeah, but it usually starts as a vendor that builds software, and it, grows into that because, like I was saying, it's really trust. I don't know anybody who would go out and hire a CTO just online, just casually, right? Even if I, sent you, some nice emails. Usually, I have to come out, shake the person's hand, things like that. Conferences have been working really, really well for us, especially because we stop them in person, shake their hand, and say, "This is what we can do for you," right? And that's a lot more intriguing than one of like the 7,000 offers they probably have in their inbox in their voicemail, because the automated outreach is cool, but a lot of people get put off by it. I would say a little bit, but it depends on how good your pitch is. I've seen some people pitch with the AI tools and it's then they have good pattern disruption and they could close, but we haven't personally experienced that yet.
Got it. Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. A lot of businesses I've recently talked to have also become extremely aggressive when it comes to AI implementation. What are some of the ways the business is currently incorporating AI?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people like sometimes AI just isn't applicable for your business, right? And it really depends. Now, the first one is like, okay, you want to automate some of the customer support stuff with AI. And I'm not actually a big fan of that because customers hate it. Like I hate calling the bank and it's like an automated machine and it's trying to understand me and it doesn't. Right. And that's why I would say, you really want to use AI to make your own life faster before it's customer facing, simply because you can deal with it if it gives you the wrong answer or there's a little bit of hallucination and things like that. And you really want to put it in on the back end. And, there's some multi-step complex tasks, right? So say, you have a lead, you need to enrich it and then put it into the CRM. Like all of those clicks are wasted time, in my opinion. Right. And you can shave down on, and you need to focus on getting more prospects. And essentially it's just how much of your current day can you delegate to this dumb machine percent? And I say dumb, even though it's one of the best technological feats of humanity, because it could just genuinely get it wrong, and it doesn't have the context window, right? Compared to a human, right? Like there are some obvious situations where AI would give you the complete wrong answer, and a human will be like, "No, that's not right." But yeah, you want to give it the most low hanging fruit, and I think about it like a like a construction foreman and architect, right? Like yeah, the construction crew puts up the wall, but do they know why it has to be here specifically to keep the building standing, right? It's like you need to have that higher level of purview as the architect when you're building software.
Right. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And that leads into my final question. So, Abdi, what goals do you have as we move through 2026 for your company?
2026, we need to slam the social outreach. That's something that we've been delaying and procrastinating a little bit on my end. I can't lie. And we've done some really, really good work, but I'd like to consider it the, let's say, warm up or training session, because we have the systems internally. We've done quite a few run throughs. We've done like 35 plus projects now through the entire pipeline over the last few years. And, I think it's really time to scale and press on the gas, and honestly, maybe niche down a little bit more. I don't think we found our specific pain point that we can solve over thousands of customers. I can solve their individual problems, but again, it's not very good for scaling.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely makes sense. So where can we find you on the internet? What's the company website and your LinkedIn?
It's Studio 23 Labs on all platforms that we're on. My name's Abdi Abukar on LinkedIn. You'll see me smiling like that on my LinkedIn profile, and come check us out. We're free to book a demo call to see, if there's anything we could either build for you or automate for you. But, pretty low stress, low commitment. And my favorite recommendations are one where I go, oh, there's already a $20 software that already does this. Problem solved. Right.
Yeah, awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us on RevTalks today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful discussion.